Level 1. Nestic Intake Assistant. You are 19 when you wake up at a desk with a note written on your own hand. Do not trust your memory. You stare at the words. The ink is fresh. You do not remember writing them. The room has no windows, no visible cameras, and one locked door with no label. On the desk sits a pill bottle, a glass of water, and a folder marked Antimemetics Division. You laugh once because that cannot be right. You checked the Foundation department list yesterday. There was no Antimemetics Division. The folder opens by itself. Inside is a photograph of you entering this same office 3 hours ago. Under it is a sentence in your handwriting. If you think this is your first day, read faster. The door buzzer sounds. A voice speaks from the intercom. Intake assistant, report the missing item. You look around the room. Desk, chair, folder, bottle, glass, door. Nothing seems missing. Then you count again. There are 7 hooks on the wall, 6 coats, 1 empty space. You open the personnel roster. 7 names. You remember 6 people arriving. The 7th name slides away from your attention every time you try to read it. You force your eyes back to the page. The letters smear. Your nose begins bleeding. The intercom repeats, report the missing item. You swallow 1 pill from the bottle. The effect is immediate and ugly. The room sharpens. Your thoughts become too loud. The 7th name returns. There was another assistant. They were standing beside you during orientation. They warned you not to drink from the wrong cup. Then everyone forgot them. You find their coffee still steaming beside the empty coat hook. You press the intercom. A person is missing. Name? You look at the roster. The name is already fading again. You grab a marker and write it across the desk before your mind can slide away. The door unlocks. A senior researcher enters wearing gloves, a medical mask, and an expression too tired to be fear. Good. You notice the absence. Where are they? In the room with the thing we cannot describe? You expect a weapon, a monster, a photograph. Instead, the researcher gives you another folder. Inside is a map of Site 19. 1 chamber is circled. Every label around it has been erased by hand. The researcher points to the pill bottle. Mnestics help you remember what reality is trying to remove. What happens if I take too much? You remember things your brain was never built to hold. A new alarm appears on your monitor. Junior staff unaccounted for. Last known location, empty chamber. The senior researcher places a 2nd badge beside your first. Nestic Intake Assistant. Your job is simple. Count what everyone else forgets. The chamber door opens on the screen. For 1 frame, you see your missing coworker inside. They are waving at you. Then you forget their face. Level 2. Junior Antimemetics Researcher. You are 23 when your first research assignment is to describe an object that deletes every description of itself. The containment chamber is empty. That is what everyone says. The access log says otherwise. The power consumption says otherwise. The security rotation says otherwise. The chamber has been guarded for 19 years. Something is inside. Your supervisor calls it SCP-055, then immediately pauses. Did I say the number out loud? Yes. Write that down. You write, we can remember that there is something, not what it is. You enter the observation room with a clipboard, a body camera, and a class wimnestic dissolving under your tongue. Your missing coworker was recovered yesterday. They remember entering the chamber. They remember closing the door. They remember nothing after that. Their hair has turned white. When you ask what they saw, they begin crying before they know why. The test begins. A robotic arm opens the inner chamber. You look through the reinforced glass. There is something there. Your mind refuses the shape. It is not round. You write that down. It is not safe to look at for too long. You write that too. Your supervisor speaks through the headset. Negative properties only. Describe what it is not. Not spherical. Not warm. Not silent. Not alone. Your pen stops. You do not remember writing the last line. The chamber microphone activates. A voice says your name. Not from the speaker, from inside your head. You check the audio log. Flat silence. Your coworker stands behind you. They were not in the room a second ago. Their eyes are fixed on the chamber glass. It wants you to stop describing it. You reach for the emergency shutter. Your hand forgets the reason halfway there. You stare at the button. Why would you close the shutter? The object is harmless. The chamber is empty. Your coworker grabs your wrist. Blood runs from their nose. Read your board. You turn. The whiteboard behind you is covered in your own handwriting. If you feel calm, you are under attack. You slam the shutter closed. The room returns. The fear returns. The memory returns. Your coworker collapses. You administer nestic stabilizer while your supervisor seals the chamber. The test produced only 6 usable statements, all negative, all incomplete. But one matters. Not alone. SCP-055 is not the only antimemetic threat in the room. Something else used it as cover. Your supervisor reviews the log. You did not identify the second entity. No. You did not preserve full memory. No. But you noticed the hidden passenger. Your badge updates. Junior Antimemetics Researcher. A new file opens before you can leave. 3 employees have resigned from a department nobody remembers creating. Their offices are still full. Their families insist they never existed. The file title appears for 2 seconds, then erases itself. You write the title on your arm before it disappears. Counterconcept analysis required. Level 3. Counterconcept Analyst. You're 28 when you find an entire office suite that the Foundation pays for, but cannot remember using. The hallway sits between accounting and site logistics. You have walked past it for years. Everyone has. Nobody noticed the door. The sign beside it reads, Storage. The payroll system says 12 employees work inside. The cafeteria system says they eat lunch every day. The security database says they enter at 8 o'clock and leave at 7 o'clock. No one can name them. As Counterconcept Analyst, your job is to reconstruct erased facts from the damage left around them. You do not begin with memory. Memory is compromised. You begin with absence. 12 chairs, 12 desks, 12 cold coffee cups, a birthday card signed by 11 people. A photograph frame facing down. You turn it over. The glass is blank. Not empty, blank. Something removed the people without removing the space they occupied. Your team takes monestics in staggered doses. One person remembers while another watches for side effects. Nobody works alone. The first workstation contains hundreds of reports about a hostile idea moving through job titles. Not names, not faces, titles. Assistant, researcher, analyst, director. The concept eats roles first. Once your job disappears, every memory connected to you loses its anchor. You check your badge. Counterconcept Analyst. For a second, the words look unfamiliar. Your teammate notices. What is your role? You answer immediately. Analyst. What do analysts do? Find the shape of what is missing. The badge text stabilizes. You search the office database. One document remains open on a terminal. It contains a warning. Do not promote anyone in this division. The concept is climbing hierarchy. Every new rank gives it a larger structure to consume. Your supervisor calls from Antimemetics. Evacuate the office. We are sealing the hallway. You look at the 12 desks. If sealed now, the erased employees remain erased. You have 7 minutes before the containment doors close. You create temporary titles for the missing staff using indirect evidence. The one with medical textbooks becomes Health Liaison. The one with security reports becomes Breach Contact. The one with 6 broken pencils and angry notes becomes Budget Enemy. It is crude, almost insulting. But every assigned role gives memory something to hold. Figures begin appearing in the blank photograph. Faces return as shadows, then names, then voices. The 12 employees collapse back into existence across the office. One immediately screams. Another vomits. A third asks how long they were gone. You do not know. The hostile concept retreats before full containment seals. You saved the staff. But you also proved the concept can be fought by naming around it. That makes you useful. And being useful makes you visible. Your badge updates. Counterconcept Analyst. A message appears beneath the promotion. Field Recall Operation. A rural town has disappeared from every map. Only one child remembers living there. The child is forgetting fast. Level 4. Field Recall Agent. You are 34 when you arrive at an empty field where a town should be and find a mailbox addressed to nobody. The road ends in grass. Power lines stop mid-air. Satellite images show farmland. Tax records show a population of 3,412. Only one survivor remains outside the effect. A child sitting inside a Foundation ambulance, repeating street names before they vanish from memory. Elm Street, Orchard Road, St. Mary's School, the blue house with the dog. Each repetition takes effort. Each pause removes another part of the town. As Field Recall Agent, your task is not combat. It is emergency remembrance. If the town is forgotten completely, there may be nothing left to recover. Your team sets up anchors, photographs, maps, census records, audio loops, smell samples from clothing, anything that gives memory more than one route back. You take a controlled nestic dose and step past the mailbox. The field changes. For 1 second, houses appear, then vanish. You speak into the recorder. There is a town here. Static answers. You repeat it. There is a town here. This time a street forms under your boots. Your partner follows, reading the child's list aloud. Elm Street returns, then Orchard Road, then the school. The town is not destroyed, it is being unremembered. At the center stands a church with its doors open. Inside are 3,411 people sitting silently in the pews. No faces, no names, no movement. A shape stands at the altar wearing the absence of a person. It is not feeding on memory. It is hiding inside the town by making the town impossible to reference. If you restore everyone at once, the entity may become visible and flee. If you attack too early, you may forget why you came. You order the team to restore memory district by district, not the church, not yet. Homes first, pets, graffiti, broken windows, school trophies, arguments written in police logs. The town returns through ordinary details. The entity at the altar begins to sharpen. It turns toward you. Your partner suddenly asks, "What town?" You grab their vest. Read the list. What list? The paper in their hand is blank. The child outside is losing the final anchor. You switch tactics. You speak your own memory into the recorder, not of the town, of arriving here. the empty road, the mailbox, the child saying Elm Street. Your partner repeats your words, then adds one detail you missed: a church bell. The sound returns. Every person in the pews lifts their head. Faces appear. The entity becomes visible for less than a second. Long enough. Containment anchors fire. The shape folds inward and disappears into a sealed mnemonic trap. The town returns to the map. Most residents wake with headaches and missing days. The child remembers the dog first, then home. Your report classifies the entity as contained but not understood. Your promotion arrives with a warning. Field Recall Agent. The warning reads, "You are now memorable to hostile anti-memes. Do not write your name near unsecured concepts. Do not accept promotions you cannot remember earning. Do not trust any file titled SCP-3125. You forget the warning immediately, then find it carved into your desk. Level 5, Senior Antimemetic Containment Specialist. You are 41 when an empty file on your desk tries to make you open it. The folder has no title, no number, no classification. Everyone who sees it looks away within 3 seconds. Your assistant enters, places coffee beside it, and leaves without noticing the folder exists. That means the object is powerful. Or the absence is. You take 2 nestic tablets, then a third. The room becomes painfully clear. The folder title appears. SCP-3125. Your nose begins bleeding. You do not open it. You already know enough. Some information does not hide because it is weak. It hides because remembering it is how it reaches you. As Senior Antimemetic Containment Specialist, your job is to build cages for things that cannot be pointed at. The first rule is simple. Nobody describes the threat directly. No drawings, no full names, no summaries, no heroic briefing where everyone learns the truth and dies 5 minutes later. You build containment around shadows, missing meetings, dead researchers no one mourns until nestics make them visible. Patterns of sudden violence among people studying the same abstract symbols. The entity is not in the room, it is in the noosphere, a predator made of hostile thought. And the Foundation has been touching the edges of it for years. Your team works in cells. Each group receives only one harmless fragment. One tracks affected dates, one tracks missing personnel, one tracks corrupted equations, one tracks emotional symptoms. Only you hold the partial map. Even that is too much. Every hour you record a message for your future self. If you are watching this and you feel certain, lower your dose. If you feel chosen, destroy the notes. If you think you understand the whole shape, you are already compromised. At 3:12, one analyst begins laughing. Not fear, recognition. I see it. You activate the amnestic mist before they finish the sentence. Their memory clears. So does half the room. Your own map becomes incomplete. The entity pushes through the gap. For 1 second, you understand it. Huge, brilliant, hungry. A thought larger than human civilization pressing its face against your mind. You nearly write its shape. Instead, you break your own hand against the desk. Pain interrupts the concept. Your team drags you from the room. The containment plan changes. You cannot defeat it by understanding it. You must create a weapon that no single mind remembers building. A distributed antimemetic trap. Each department designs one harmless part without knowing the whole. Engineering builds a signal. Pharmacy prepares a nestic cascade. Archives creates false research trails. You authorize every piece and erase your own authorization after each step. On the final day, you no longer remember the plan, only the instruction tattooed beneath your bandage. Press the red button when you feel God watching. The feeling arrives at 4:44. You press it. Across the site, forgotten systems activate. The entity's attention snaps toward a false shape made from bait memories. The trap closes around what looks like nothing. Everyone forgets the event within minutes. Only the casualty list remains. Names without context. Your assistant asks why you are crying. You cannot answer. Your badge updates on a terminal you do not remember unlocking. Senior Antimemetic Containment Specialist. A final line appears below it. Division Director absent. Succession Protocol active. You turn toward the director's office. The door has always been there. You are certain it was not there yesterday. Level 6, Director of Antimemetics. You are 49 when you enter the director's office and find your own resignation letter dated 12 years in the future. The office is clean. Too clean. No photographs, no personal items, no evidence that anyone has ever occupied it. On the desk sits one envelope. Inside is a letter in your handwriting. If you are reading this, I failed to remain forgotten. Do not trust the promotion. You check your badge, Director of Antimemetics. You do not remember accepting the position. Nobody remembers offering it. The department directory says antimemetics does not exist. The payroll system says you are on medical leave. Your staff insist you have been director for 6 years. All 3 statements are true enough to be dangerous. A global alert activates without sound. Every antimemetic containment file opens at once. SCP-055, the town that vanished. The role-eating concept, the noospheric predator. Dozens of smaller threats the Foundation forgot on purpose. Something has learned the Division's oldest weakness. To destroy antimemetics, it does not need to kill the staff. It only needs to make the Foundation remember the department incorrectly, as a failure, as a myth, as a waste of resources, as something already shut down. One by one, your teams vanish from official systems. Not dead, unassigned, then unpaid, then unauthorized, then trespassers inside their own site. Security moves toward the wing. Your assistant asks for orders. You open the director's sealed protocol. There are only 2 options: restore the division to Foundation memory, or erase it completely. Restoration gives you resources, authority, and protection. It also gives every hostile anti-meme a bright official target. Erasure leaves your staff isolated, unsupported, forgotten, but hidden. The security team reaches the outer doors. They believe an unauthorized group has occupied a restricted wing. Your assistant raises a weapon. You tell them to lower it. Then you choose erasure. Every record of the Antimemetics Division begins deleting itself. Budgets, badges, maps, personnel files, your own title. Staff panic as their names disappear from screens. You broadcast one message through the internal system. If you can hear this, you were never here. The words sound cruel. They are protection. The hostile concepts lose their target. Security reaches an empty corridor. They find dust, unused desks, and no reason to continue searching. Inside rooms that no longer appear on any map, your staff remain. Unlisted, unfunded, alive. The cost arrives slowly. Your assistant forgets your title, then your face, then why they trusted you. You write instructions for them and place the note in their pocket. Follow the person who remembers the empty door. They ask what that means. You cannot explain before the next deletion hits. You forget being director. You forget the office. You forget the letter from the future. Then your hand moves on its own and writes one final note across the desk. Do not trust your memory. Years later, a 19-year-old employee wakes at that same desk. A pill bottle sits beside a glass of water. A folder lies in front of them marked Antimemetics Division. They laugh because that cannot be right. They checked the Foundation department list yesterday. There was no Antimemetics Division. Behind the observation glass, you watch without knowing how long you have been there. You do not remember your name. You do not remember your rank. You remember only the work. Count what is missing. Protect what cannot be known. Fight the war nobody else can remember. The new employee opens the folder. The first page shows a photograph of them entering the office 3 hours ago. Under it is a sentence in their handwriting. If you think this is your first day, read faster. You press the intercom. Report the missing item. The cycle begins again.